Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Visionaries Experience. I'm your host, Jay Norris. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Guest Software Platform. I have to do that because I know you guys didn't know who I was. You saw that guy on the billboard outside, and it was like Marc Lasry, but who is that guy? I'm Jay Norris, and I own a software company. We're a retail sales intelligence platform. We track consumer swipes and taps and share them with third parties, primarily property owners, but this year we're moving into lending. So we're underwriting merchant sales and reporting them to lenders so that they can provide flexible lease lending arrangements with their merchants. All right, so that's guest software. When I'm not running that ship, I'm the co-chairman of the Technology and Innovation Council for the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. Anybody from the chamber in here? There we go. Thanks, guys. And then also, I'm a proud board member and co-founder of this organization called Startup Westport. Any Startup Westport heads in here? Yo, there we go. Oh, there we go. All right, great. So let me start also by giving a big shout out to Lisa, the Core Club, Jenny, my dear friend Jerry Erasmus, who kind of connected the dots here and made this all happen. So we got to give him a big shout out. All right. So let me tell you something about the Visionaries Experience, guys. While we created this series was created to inspire visionaries of all ages and to chase their dreams. And tonight, I couldn't be more excited to introduce someone who embodies that spirit, Marc Lasry. Okay, so most of everyone in this room knows more maybe than I do about Marc, but let me just briefly go over a couple of things here. Marc is the CEO and co-founder of Avenue Capital Group, one of the leading investment firms in the world. He's also known for his time as a co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, where he helped them gain a championship in 2021. Who knows how long it took them to get that championship?
I do.
I was wondering, let me tell you, audience, anybody?
50 years.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay, 50 years, guys. I found that out. Fun fact. He's also a philanthropist, board member, and someone who spent his career taking bold risk and building big visions. That's why we have him here. Please join me in welcoming Marc Lasry and Warren.
I just want to make sure my wife heard that.
Did you? Yeah. Do you approve? Okay, Marc. So I was doing research, and I was like, wow, this guy is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Let's take it back. Early days. I read 7 years old when you got here.
Yes.
And so tell me something about those early days. And when I hear a little bit about the early days, but really some of the things that you took with you during that journey that helped you propel in life.
Well, one, thank you for having me on your podcast. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I came to the United States when I was 7. So I was born in Marrakesh in Morocco. And then we went to Paris. And then for some unknown reason, we moved to Hartford, Connecticut. And the main reason was because my mother had 9 brothers and sisters, and 2 of her sisters were there.
Okay.
I think when you come to a country as an immigrant, we lived in Hartford, and I had the pleasure of sharing a room with my 2 sisters. We had a 2-bedroom apartment, 1 bath, and we lived there for about 6 years. So just imagine all of us are all getting ready to go to school.
Wow.
It's you're sharing a bathroom, somebody's showering, somebody's on the toilet, and somebody's shaving. My dad, mainly. And it's your view of the world is, hey, I want to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think the greatest thing about this country is it allows you to succeed. It really does. And you need an education And for me, my mother and father were very much believers in education. My mother was very black and white about everything. She would say, "Look, we can't afford for you to go to college, so you're going to have to get a scholarship." And you would say, "Okay," but and she would just like she goes, "I don't care. When you turn 18, you're going to leave. So when you graduate from high school, you're either going to college or you have a job." And I'd go to my dad and say, "Dad, mom's a bit extreme," and he would go, "Yeah." He goes, "Listen, I live in fear. You should live in fear." That's how it was, and it wasn't really that complicated.
That's excellent. That's excellent. But tell me, you know, because I was wondering that part, that resilience that you had to pick up then, how did it affect you? Certain high stakes moments. Did anything kind of in hindsight, when high stakes moment kick in, did those maternal paternal instincts that they shared with you kick in immediately, where you were
No,
patient and resilient?
I think a lot of it. I learned how to play chess when I was a kid, and I got to be very, very good at it. And what ends up happening is you sort of are always planning moves ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I learned very early on is don't worry about things you can't control. Because if you can't control it, why are you worried? And I know it's a simple maxim, but it's actually really true. So I worry or only about things I can effectuate or things I could. And so when I was young, um, you sort of develop that reputation, or that's how I looked at the world. And I never really stressed out about a lot of things. And I think that was something my father and mother instilled in me. And so you sort of, when you're young, you're very focused on one thing, which is getting into college. Like I went to private school because my mother was a teacher. And I then, I'll give you, it's a bit of a crazy story, but when we came to the United States,
It's not crazy.
no, it is.
Go.
When we came, you go to public school, and I didn't speak English. And my mother comes, and she comes to see us, and she talks to the teacher, and she goes, "How's my son doing?" And they go, "Well, I think your son has issues. He's very quiet. He doesn't speak." And she goes, "No, she's a Jewish mom. He's a genius." And you go, "Well, no, we don't think so." And she goes, "Well, it's impossible.
Right.
Let me see what's going on." And we go into class. And so I know I look a little different. Back then, I had jet black hair. And my mother goes in and she notices I'm in the Hartford public school system. They thought I was Spanish. So because I was Spanish, they put me with all of the Hispanic kids, and everybody's speaking Spanish. I all of a sudden I've got another language which I didn't know about. I'm trying to learn English, but now somebody's speaking something else. So my mother ends up pulling me out and goes and becomes a teacher at a private school, and says, "If you can take my 3 children, then I will teach here for free. And at the end of the year, if you like me, I'll stay and you can pay me, but at the very least." So it was very much this mentality of, hey, you need an education to succeed.
But so pause for a second. Your mom almost made an offer to the school,
I know she made an offer and they accepted.
and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
What a great! I didn't read that anywhere, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's really.
She was crazy.
Wow.
I loved her, but she was crazy.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to dive into something that I know everyone in the room knows, Mark, about sports. Here we go. So, when was it when Avenue Capital, I don't know where in that journey did you decide that I want to own a sports franchise?
Oh, that's easy. I played basketball in college. Um, I will tell you, I was the star of the varsity. My wife will tell you I was on JV. Who are you going to believe? So once you play, you actually want, you quickly realize I would have played in the NBA other than a lack of talent.
Right.
So that was the only thing that stopped me.
Just the small thing.
Just
right?
little
The little
details.
thing. Right.
And so you love sports, and as you start making money, you start investing. So I got to invest in the New Jersey Nets at the time, and when they were out in Jersey before they came to Brooklyn, and I tried to buy the Nets, and then I got outbid by Prokhorov. Tried to buy the Hornets. I was going to team up with Michael Jordan. And so I'd been investing in basketball for a while. And then when the Bucks became available, you sort of give up. And what I mean by you give up, like, for those of you who do business, so if a team makes $5 million a year, what do you think's a fair price? So, right?
20 times.
Yeah, 20 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100 million. So I paid 100 times. And that's what I mean, you give up. You're like, okay, I don't care anymore. I'll buy it. Like, and so I bought the Bucks with a partner. And, at the time, I know this is hard to believe, when we bought the Milwaukee Bucks in 2013, we paid the most that anybody had ever paid for an NBA team. That was the record. And we were the worst team.
And I was about to say, you're the worst team in the league.
We were the worst team. We had the worst record, the worst team. So the idea when we bought the team was very simple. Let's fix it, and in 2 years we'll sell it for like 700 million or 800 million. We'll make, we'll have EBITDA go from 5 to 20, and we'll make a couple $100 million. Which sounds like a great idea.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. 2 years.
It's a 2-year plan. Okay.
Yeah, we'll fix it. It can't be that hard. And the dirty secret about sports is that the minute you own a team, you quickly realize you're actually trying to win. You're not trying to make money. Right? And that's what ends up happening. So quickly realize, oh, this isn't about money. I want to win. And then we started focusing. Then we had Giannis,
right,
which was great. So then we started focusing on trying to win a championship.
Right.
And sort of that's the history. And we ended up winning a championship. And it's really cool. You get to, when you win, you hold up the trophy.
Right.
So my son, you gotta love my son. He goes, Dad, you're gonna hold this thing up. It's on national TV. Don't drop it. And it's actually it's heavy. So you're on TV, you're lifting it up really slowly because you don't want to drop it.
Right.
Right. So I get a text, must have gotten like 1,000 texts from everybody going, hey, sorry, TV, congrats. Seemed like you were having a hard time lifting that trophy.
Oh my God. Of course.
The cool thing is I got a phone call from President Obama, President Clinton, and President Biden invites us to the White House. So President Clinton's great. Calls up and goes, Mark, I just want you to know, congratulations for winning the championship. I'm so proud of you. You did great. You're a great American. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. That's cool. Right? So cool. So it actually ended up being a phenomenal experience. Our family went down. You go to the White House. You're there for a private. It's just with the team. You're taking pictures. You're with the president. So it was a fun time.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique experience.
And so, it was fun. But was it afterwards? What was the catalyst to the sale? Like when how long did you have it afterwards?
It was 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
The catalyst for the sale was, it was a lot of money, and it had become a very large chunk of my net worth.
I see.
And I thought, and I put the team in trust for my kids, and shockingly, they thought it was better to have the money
I see.
than the team, which is fine.
Right.
Right. Which all made sense. And I think also for me, I think it was a great experience. If I lived in Milwaukee, I wouldn't have sold. But you were going out and you were flying in for games, flying back out. And after we'd won a championship, and you quickly realized how hard it is to win one. It was really, really hard, and you got to get really lucky. And I just thought the odds of winning again was going to be really hard.
Right.
And to me, that was my focus was, hey, could we win another? And I just thought it was going to be harder.
I see. Sounds like it makes sense. It made sense at the time,
Yeah.
right? It's great.
It made sense at the time. If I had held on, it'd be worth more. So today, you would have sold it for more. So probably doesn't make sense.
So Mark, I've been hearing about you dabbling in emerging sports.
Yep.
Market. I read about sailing, bullfighting.
Bull riding.
Bull riding.
Yeah, bullfighting.
I'm sorry.
Seriously.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bull riding.
Yeah, we would.
But tell us, I mean, and also because enlighten the audience here on, was it the audience? Because you started looking at the actual audience and the viewerships.
Sorry. So everybody here in this room, who's sports fans, raise your hand. All right, so pretty much everybody. All right, let's see what you know of sports. All right. How many Americans live in this country?
320.
Yeah, 350, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Of the ones we know.
Right.
All right. A little joke.
No, right?
Right. Okay. All right. So here's a question. Average hockey game. All right. On TV. How many people do you think watch an average hockey game?
100,000.
Oh, 100,000? Okay.
Million.
A million.
Average hockey.
All right. Yes?
50,000.
50,000. How many do you think?
Average hockey game, 500.
Okay. Baseball. How many people watch an average baseball game?
Depends on the team.
Pardon?
Depends on the team.
No, just average baseball game on TV. Like the once a
On
week.
TV.
Yeah.
A million.
Regular game.
2 million.
2 million.
A million.
A million. Million. All right. Basketball. Average basketball game on TNT. How many people do you think watch?
Someone has to know this. Come on, guys.
No.
2 million? More or less?
Probably 500,000.
More.
500,000.
Yeah, less.
All right. So average basketball game,
Mhm.
1.5 million. All right. So now let's add everything up. 1.5 million, 1 million, and 500 is 3 million. It's less than 1% of the U.S. population is watching a major sporting event during the week. Okay. Hockey, $600 million media deal. Baseball, $2 billion. Basketball, $7 billion. All right. Sailing. How many people do you think watch sailing?
2.
2? They're in this room, is that
I
it?
know, right?
You think 2? I
No,
guarantee it's
come
more.
on now. It's
All
more
right,
than
how
2.
many more?
100,000.
100,000.
Okay.
All right. 4 years ago, Larry Ellison starts a league. It's called SailGP. Guarantees CBS that he'll have 100,000 viewers.
Wow.
And in return for that, he gets paid $40 million a year. All right? They just had a race a little while ago. You know how many people watched it? 2 million viewers.
Wow.
Okay, so more than watch baseball and hockey combined. More than watch basketball. Their media deal comes up in 3 or 4 years. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be more than 40 million. That's why we invested in it.
Mark,
Bull
I
riding.
said 2.
Pardon?
I said 2.
You said 2. You
I
just
know.
didn't add the last part.
Exactly. Mrs.
Bull riding. How many people do you think watch bull riding? It's called a Professional Bull Riding League, PBR. How many people do you think watch that on TV?
Bull riding, 100,000.
I hear 100. Any higher?
500.
500. Higher?
More.
Yeah, it's 1,000,001. More than? Yeah, it's called television. Yes, on television, you can watch it.
Everybody's taking notes. Are we taking notes here, guys?
So,
Okay,
but
good.
I'm just trying to. The thing that's funny about sports is what perception is totally different than what reality is. And the great thing is, I already know the answers. Why? Because the minute you have an event, you know what the ratings are. So if I know the ratings, then I know the answer, and I know you got people watching. So therefore, let's do an emerging league. That's what you're trying to do in sports, right? Is you're trying to figure out leagues that are going to do well. But you only make money in sports three ways: ticket sales, sponsorship, media. That's it. There's no other way you can make money. So if I know my ticket sales are going up, and I know my sponsorship is going up, if I know my media is going to go up, then I'm going to do it. So like, who here plays pickleball? Right? It's great. You love it? Fun? I bought a pickleball franchise with James Blake 5 years ago. We paid $50,000 for it. We sold it for close to $5 million, so about 100 times in 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's a low return, but it's fine. It's 100 times. All right. You know the problem with pickleball? Nobody wants to watch it on TV.
Yeah.
You love playing it. You may go watch it, but you're not watching on TV. So therefore, your media deal isn't there.
I see.
It's got to be all three of them. Football, American football. How many people watch that on TV? 25 million. It's the biggest sport in the United States. 95 of the 100 highest rated TV shows last year were football games.
Wow. 95.
95. It's the more of the facts you know, the more you look at it and go, wow, okay. So sports today, why did we do a sports fund? Because you're literally in the first inning. There's so much capital coming because it is the one thing that AI can't reproduce.
I was about to ask you that question.
Right? It's the one thing. People want to watch it live. It's the only thing that's live. Nobody records. Who here watched the Super Bowl? All right. Anybody recorded and said, I'm going to watch it in 6 months? Right? Did you do that?
No.
No. Nobody records, like, what's your favorite show on Netflix or on Amazon Prime?
Gosh, so many. I don't know where to begin. I used to love Ozarks.
That was good. All right. Now, you'll binge watch.
Oh, yes.
Nobody binge watches sports.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody says I'm recording all 162 Major League Baseball games and I'm going to go watch that.
Yeah, you got a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
So therefore, that's why the media deals keep going up. Right? Think of it that way.
I see. And so does this also venture into international? Like in
Same thing.
Football,
Yep.
soccer?
Yep.
Because I heard about, what was it, women's soccer?
Yeah, so women's soccer is actually interesting. So 6 years ago, you could have bought a women's soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think they were here in the United States for the NWSL?
2 million.
1 to 2.
Wow.
Very good.
There we go.
You know how much they are today?
10,
10 million?
40.
Oh,
150 to 250.
no.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I know this shit. Sorry. Okay. All right. So
Wow.
all right. So they're the team in LA,
20 times.
Angel City, just sold for 250 million. All right. In the UK and in Europe today, you can buy a women's soccer team for somewhere around 5 to 10 million pounds or 5-10 million euros. Where are they going to be 5 years from now? I don't know. I can promise you they're going to be more than 5 million.
Right. I see.
Right? That's what's happening. And the reason is, so I'll prove my point. Who here has daughters that are 10 to 15 years old? Okay. Did it? No. I need a gentleman. I apologize. So, right, you raise your hand.
Yeah.
How old are they?
13, 22.
Okay. So when I was a kid, if I went to a game with my dad, he was never going to bring my sisters.
Mm.
Today, the idea that you don't bring your daughter to a game is inconceivable to today's generation, right?
Absolutely.
You'll whether you have a son or not, doesn't make a difference. It's no longer a father-son, it's a family event.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the value of women's teams has been going up, is because it's no longer just an event that somebody will go once in a while. People want to go. They want to go watch a WNBA game. They want to watch a women's soccer game. And people, you'll bring your daughter, you'll bring your son, you'll bring your family. So you just increase the amount of people who are going to games by 50%. It's just huge.
Yeah, it's tremendous, not just huge. I thank you for that. The insight there was pretty good. Now, I have to ask this one because I didn't read anything about this. What are your thoughts and how are you positioning yourself for AI?
I think for us, AI is much more when we're looking at sort of adjacent businesses
Mm-hmm.
that I think, how can you make a team better? How can you do things where it's going to do the work of analysts? Okay. Right? Otherwise, like, here's the biggest problem. When we had the Bucks, I had the Bucks, you have your analytics group,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your analytics group says to Giannis, you shoot far better closer in than you shoot further out, right? You don't need analytics to figure that out, right? It was pretty obvious.
Right.
You would say to Chris Middleton, you're better on the left side than you are on the right side. Right? And you know what the response always is? Is, yeah, I know that, but everybody else knows that.
Right.
So therefore, I have an edge if I go on the other side or if I do this. Right? It's not like players don't understand it,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody gets it. So everybody overplays always to your strengths.
Got it. Got it.
So
that's
AI is not going to have that much of an impact, I think, on sports. It'll have an impact on the analytics and sort of more of how can I get you where you've signed up to be a Knicks fan or wherever you are. How can I get you to do more with the team?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help. But regarding the game itself, that's very hard.
Okay.
I doubt it will.
All right. Great. Great. So no big AI investments.
Zero today.
Okay.
So that's no big, just
Okay.
zero.
All right. Great. I had to ask, guys. Sorry. So at this stage, outside of sports, any other investments or alternatives or emerging markets that you're thinking about?
Well, the
Outside of
firm, I think for us, the firm manages, we lend money. So really, I'd say the 10 plus billion we manage is really just lending, like it's specialty lending. So you do that in Europe, you're doing it in Asia, you're doing it in the US. But the fun stuff is sports.
Oh, wow. Well, we have to talk after this, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, revenue-based funding.
All right.
Doing it now. So we'll talk about that. That's
Okay.
the part. So, okay. What else would you say would be the next generation? Do you have any advice for the up and coming fund managers or private equity groups that that you would, just some advice that you would tell them? Maybe not as much as you would say to your son, but
No,
just the up and coming
thing. Look, I think no matter what you do, if you want to be a manager, if you want to manage money, everything is hard. Like everybody thinks it's easy. It's not. Like how are you going to become a world-class manager? You've got to generate good returns. Right? How do you become a world-class basketball player? There's only 450 of them in the NBA. You've got to be one of the 450 best players in the world. Right? So how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of God-given ability, but there's also just a huge amount of hard work. And you've got to practice, and you've got to do it over and over and over again. I think in sort of, if you want to start a hedge fund, it's not easy, right? It's never an easy time. Doing what you're doing, it's not easy. Why? Because there's 1,000 people or 100,000 or 1,000,000 people who want to do the same thing. So you've got to be better, you've got to be smarter, or you just got to work harder. And I know it's hard to tell people you got to work really hard, but that's what's going to separate. I think what separates folks is how hard you want to work, and the sacrifice you want to make to get there. Right? The reason I think I succeeded is that ultimately, for me, we have 5 children. My wife ended up, we were partners in this of like, okay, you're going to go out and you're going to work. I'm going to try to take care of the kids. And hopefully you're going to come home and help a little bit. But I was traveling a ton. I was trying to raise money. Everything is hard. Everything is a sacrifice. And you've got to be able to make that sacrifice. And you've got to have a partner who's willing to make that sacrifice with you.
Wow. Great advice, guys. Great advice. All right. So here's one of my last ones. This one, I don't know if anybody asked you this one, but it's all said and done, Mark. How would you like to be remembered?
That's easy. You just want to be remembered as a good person, a great father, a great husband. You want to just be viewed as somebody who actually made a mark where you helped others, right? That people, you want that when you die, thousands of people show up at your funeral. No, you don't, because that means you helped a lot of people, right? You don't want to just like, it's just your wife and your kids and everybody's looking around going, I guess nobody liked Dad. Right?
We knew it, right?
We knew it. We knew it was difficult, but I didn't realize it was that difficult.
Right.
No, it's just like, true. What's your mark on the world?
That's it.
Right? And how do people know you? How do people remember you? And have you done good? That's it.
That's awesome. No, that was. I mean, guys, we're gonna do the Q&A now. Questions? All right.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for the time.
Pleasure.
I gotta stand up. As the consumption of sports moves from TVs to mobile devices, how does that change the investment landscape?
I don't know. It's a great question. I mean, it really is. And I think people are trying to figure that out. The hard part is like, do you have kids?
Yeah.
How old are they?
3 teenagers.
All right. So when you and I were kids, if you went to watch a game, you watched it from beginning to end. You literally sat there, whether you were with friends, but you're watching it. I don't think your kids watch a game from beginning to end.
Never.
Right? So they're watching 3 games, 5 games. They love NFL Red Zone.
Yes.
Right? I would watch 1 game, and then NFL Red Zone comes into being, and you're sort of switching back and forth. But kids can watch so many more games. And the question is, how is that going to affect media deals? How do you monetize that? Because everybody's attention span is so much shorter, which isn't good. So I don't know the answer. I wish I did. We're trying to figure that out ourselves. That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Great question.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Hi, Jay.
Hey.
Great conversation. Thank you all so much. A couple quick questions. You're bullish on women's sports and the opportunities that exist there. I have a youth sports tech startup. As you probably know in your space, youth sports in America, according to the Aspen Institute and Team Snap study of 2022, parents in America spent $40 billion on youth sports, which is a huge white space. Lots of different entities. To the gentleman right here, what's your name? I'm sorry. Neil. Hi. That you just asked how mobile devices and social media, I guess, will impact how people view sports. Uh, in this space of youth sports, like KKR is one of the companies that is invested in the viewing of youth sports. They have done that youth sports investing with Blitzer and Harris. They've invested in the multiplexes. Um, what I want to know is how are you looking at uh, opportunities, if at all, in the youth sports space that's highly fragmented, and how can we defragment that, and do you see any opportunity there?
I think it's massive opportunities there. I mean, it really is. And I think for us, one of the things we're trying to do is you want to try to roll up a certain industry. And we're looking at a bunch of different opportunities where we can come in, but you don't want to, because for youth sports, it's you're investing $1 million to $5 million. And then you've got to recreate and recreate and recreate. So if you can roll it up, because exactly what you said, it's fragmented. So any industry that's fragmented is a huge opportunity because there just isn't economies of scale there. So I think, Dinner Blitzer and Josh ended up creating a company. I think it's unrivaled. And I think right now they're ahead of us and ahead of a number of other people. They've done a phenomenal job in that. And I would say for somebody like us, we're trying to catch up. But I think it's just huge opportunities.
Okay, great. I'll help you catch up.
And you know what, Chris, I was thinking about that because I had another question. And you know what told me to ask you this? Was a friend that we have in common, was Gus Johnson.
Okay.
He said, what's he doing in NIL? Is he doing, I heard about an NIL platform. And he told me.
Yeah, so we're trying to buy college teams or invest in college teams.
Okay.
Right? So that's actually the play. The problem, I would say, where'd you go to school? I don't know. Hopefully it's a big school.
No, it's in a big school. It's Howard University,
Okay.
DC.
So
It's a D1 school, it's
all right,
school, but
So the problem with Howard.
Mhm.
So let me tell you all the issues since I've never been there. Right?
You're coming to homecoming with me this year. Go ahead, Mike. You know that.
Right. So here's the problem for Howard, for Michigan, for any Division I school. It's for athletes. Athletes now are getting paid money to go. So Howard University's biggest question is where they allocate resources, right? So you're going to have the chemistry department's going to say, I need more money. And then you've got a different department. And so sports, which was a big thing, is saying, hey, now we need even more money. Otherwise, nobody's going to come. And so if you're a university, you're stuck in this quandary where do I pay money to help the reputation of the school and by helping that more people apply?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I end up taking very scarce dollars and putting it in the biology department? Do I put it in the chemistry department, English department? And if you're a school like Howard, that's really hard. If you're a school like Michigan, that's easier, but it's also hard because Michigan has got to go spend 20 or 30 million a year to get the players. And here's the part that nobody knows. There's only two programs in a university that ever make you money. It's basketball and football, right? The men's soccer team doesn't make you money. The women's soccer team doesn't make you money. The men's volleyball team, it doesn't, you've got 30 teams. Yet, if you're a university and you say, well, look, we're going to cut everything and we're just going to have the teams that are profitable, which is what you would do if you were a business, you can't do that as a university.
Wow.
So they've got all this pressure and they need capital. And I think firms like ours is going to help by doing that and owning a piece of these teams. Whether that's tomorrow or that's a year from now, you're going to see private equity coming into that space.
Wow.
Because schools don't have a choice.
Okay. You heard it here first, guys. That's awesome. Hey, questions? Any other?
Yeah.
Sure.
I had a question. So I'm not big on sports. I'm not really knowledgeable in sports. But from what it sounds like, you bought the Bucks as what it would be more of a distressed investment because they weren't doing well and they won their first championship with you. How much of that was plug and play, kind of a more private equity approach to having better managers, or in that case, better players, or hiring a better coach? How much of that was maybe restructuring the strategies that they had? And I know you do mostly distress lending,
Mm-hmm.
a large part. And how did that experience really help you with something with like sports on that side? And then the second question is, how much of your investing in sports now is mostly on that same distressed, focused approach versus someone that's kind of more on the uprise and it's more obvious and evident?
So the team was bad. I wouldn't say it was a distressed opportunity, right? It was a bad team. And remember, we paid the most that anybody ever paid. So it wasn't like we were stealing anything, right? We overpaid at the time, but 10 years later, it looks like a cheap price. All right. I would tell you the reason we won was because of my leadership. Right. The team would tell you, or other people would tell you, because of Giannis, Chris Middleton, and the fact that the players were really good. I would tend to agree with that. Right? I think what ends up happening is, and this is the biggest question, what you always have in sports, and I don't mean to make light of it, but it really is a big decision. It's what's your vision for the team? And what I mean by that is there's a difference of opinion in leagues of whether talent wins or team wins. It's the same thing in any business. Do you want to hire the best people or do you want to hire the best team? Right? So the New Jersey Nets or Brooklyn Nets went for James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, and they didn't get out of the first round. Right? So they went down the road of talent. And you've got a lot of other teams that try to do that. We went down the road of building a team. And then we had to get a great coach. And then you have to get a great GM. So ultimately, I think what we were able to do was put the right pieces together and hope that the coach was going to do a great job and hope that the GM was going to do a great job, which they did. Right? And I think the other thing, which is really hard to explain, is you got to get really lucky. Mm-hmm. You really do. Like, it's really at a certain level, everything's equal, and it's just who got luckier with a bounce, who got luckier with doing something, who was hot that day, who was cold that day. So I think for us, all the pieces ended up working out. So when I look at sports today, you're not buying anything distressed, right? It's very different than I would tell you my core business. Because my core business is you're buying things distressed, you're lending money. Today, in sports, it's, do I think that bull riding is going to grow? Do I think sailing is going to grow? You're making bets, and I think they're very educated bets. But we invested in the Baltimore Orioles, right? We invested in the PGA. So why did we do that? There, we thought the PGA, it was a time when you had lived. That was a special situation, right? But the majority of what we're doing is we're buying things that we think we can help, either with our expertise help grow, or we think we're coming in at the right time. So it's very, very different. But Giannis and I have talked about this, whether he had more of an impact. I mean, he scored. Look, here's my view. I told Chris Middleton and Giannis before every game, we will win as long as we score more points.
That's great advice.
Right. And then when they listened to me, we did well. We won. And if they didn't listen, that means the other team, right? Trust me, it's totally the players. It's nothing else. It's the players and the coach.
Mark, since you were just talking about something, and it just dawned on me, the TGL.
Yes.
Can you share with the audience what that is? And
So it's the golf
Thank
league. And the golf league, it was an idea by Rory and Tiger to end up creating this new league because most young people don't want to watch golf for 4 hours,
okay.
right? So it was like, we're going to do it for 2 hours prime time.
Mhm.
And we bought our team for $37 million a year ago. They're now selling teams for 75. I think the next team will go for about 100, 150. And the reason for that is the thesis was 250,000 people would watch it. And now you've got 1 million people watching it. So again, it's all, I don't mean to simplify it. Ticket sales, sponsorship, media, right? The more people watch, the more somebody's going to pay for it. Less people watch, nobody cares, right? So I need you to watch all the things we've invested in. As long as it's more than 2 people, right? We will do well. But the more you watch and tell your friends, the better it is.
Yeah, Mark, send us that with the whole draft. We'll just send it out as a newsletter. Watch this, right?
Help the little people, all right? Just help them.
Jay, hi.
Hey.
I wanted to go back to Jeremy Ford. Thank you for your
Jeremy?
presentation. I wanted to go back to the European UK women's football soccer teams. 5 to 10 million. What am I getting for that? And you talk about the LA example where a team's going for 250 and we have all of the work that goes into it. I'm not cutting a check for that and saying, let's ride the wave. How should someone think about what else has to go in to create that value from an investment perspective and sort of frame it for that purchase price, Jeremy, you're receiving X, Y, and Z, but then the work begins and the money has to go in.
So today, if you go buy a team in Europe, you can pay 5 to 10 million. You'll lose 1 to 2 million a year. And our thesis is, let's hire the right people. Let's bring them in. Let's do more on ticket sales. Let's do more on sponsorship. You've got to get people into the stands. You've got to have more than sort of 5,000 people show up. It's got to be 7,000. Then it's got to be 10,000. It's a process, right? And it's just work. It's a lot of work. So we bought the team in Lake Como. So the women's soccer team there, you've got to get more people to show up. And people will come if you make it fan friendly. But it's just work. It's not, hey, we bought it, we don't have to do anything, and 5 years from now it's going to be worth more. It's very much go hire a new marketing person, get a better coach, get a better general manager. It's all this stuff is like any business. It's if you have the right product, will people come and watch it? I think they will. Right? That's our thesis. And so we're spending a lot of time and money, and we've got a whole team in Europe that's helping do that. And what we're going to try to do is buy about 5 or 6 teams and sort of try to use economies of scale, try to get more sponsorship, try to do things that's going to be better. Hopefully we'll be right.
Is there any Ryan Reynolds effect from like a Wrexham or something like that? Seriously.
No, it is. It helps.
The awareness. And is that something you build into what you're doing?
Yeah, I'd love to, except I'm not Ryan Reynolds.
I understand you're not, but
Right.
you can
No, but it's about I'm being serious when I say I'm not Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds has a following. Like, I always kid my daughter's here. Where is she? She's over there, right?
Hey.
So I kid with her about Instagram. Ryan Reynolds has, I don't know, 5 million, 10 million followers. I've got 500, right? So I'm not going to have that impact. And it's not like we're going to bring, like, what Ryan Reynolds does great is he actually gets involved and goes to the games and becomes a part of it and created this huge amount of value, right? But he did that through a force of personality, right? If I say I'm going to the game, nobody's going to care, right? It's not, but we have these athletes who work with us. So we have Michael Strahan. So does anybody know who Harry Kane is? All right, so we have Harry Kane. He's one of the world's greatest football players. For those of you in the United States, it's called soccer. As Gianni Infantino says, he's the head of FIFA. He's got a great line. What he always says is, I don't understand. In the world, we call it football because we play it with our feet. In the United States, you call it football and you play it with your hands. So it doesn't make sense. But the point is this. We can get some of our athletes. We have Candace Parker. We've got Lindsey Vonn. We've got Lauren Holiday, who's a 2-time women's Olympian. They're involved in this, but they don't have 10 million followers or 20 million. So there's a limit to what we're going to be able to do, that Ryan Reynolds can come in and buy a team in the 3rd division and through a force of personality create this wave. We'll get a little bit of the benefit, but ours is going to be just singles and doubles. It's just work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know there's got a
There's someone there, right here.
Me? Hello.
There we go.
Hello, I'm David.
Hey,
I
David.
studied public companies in part because as a kid I thought I was good at following sports teams and how their leaders changed over time. So you notably took a win now approach that some thought might have been risky and short-sighted,
Correct.
and that was in contrast to the supposedly patient approach that the 76ers took. What were the trade-offs that you were considering as you chose that approach? And has it impacted your business thinking at all?
Yeah, it's actually very simple because that is one of the questions you get asked. Like when we ended up, we had the draft that year, and the big question was who were we going to draft, Joel Embiid or Jabari Parker. Joel Embiid was injured and wasn't going to be able to play for a year, so there was a lot of pressure on us to end up saying, "Hey, let's take Embiid. That way, we're going to suck for another year, and then we'll have another high draft pick, and we're going to build for the future." Right? So that's the thesis. My view is very simple. If you end up creating a culture of losing or a culture of mediocrity, that's who you are. I want a culture where we're going to try to win. We're going to try to do the best that we can. And we're not going to try to plan for the future 5-10 years out. And the reason we didn't is because when you look at it, you have no idea if your pick is going to be that great. And I didn't want to sort of start off by owning a team by saying, hey, trust me, we're going to be bad. I just think that's the wrong, like, how would you like to go to a company and the company says, listen, we're going to be horrible for 2 years. It's okay. After 2 years, we're going to be really good. I just think that sounds dumb. I'd rather say, you know what, we're going to try to win and we're going to try to be excellent. That's what we're going to strive for. And I think if you instill that, people will believe that. Like, I don't know, what was the Walter Isaacson book with Steve Jobs? What was the one thing, the force field of where Jobs would say, what was it? Do you remember?
What was it?
Yeah, reality distortion field, right? Where he would say, here's what we're going to do. And people would go, no, that's impossible. And you go, I don't care. That's what we're doing. And you started believing it. Yeah. And I actually think that's really important. People will do things if you have them believe it. If what you're, like the 76ers, since they did that, they have not been to the finals. Right? And they had this culture which wasn't positive. And it takes a while to get out of that. And I think at work, I never say to the people who work for me, look, this year, let's be horrible because next year we're going to be really good.
It won't go over well.
Like, I don't know why in sports that's okay. I get the intellectual part of it. I just don't like it. If that helps.
Thank you. No, that.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for being with us tonight. And first of all, if you don't mind me appreciating your both here, great choice of socks and the sneakers for this event. Absolutely amazing. And I forgot half of the questions I had to ask. I was raising my hand for a while now, but just to focus on a couple of things I still remember. So uh, first of all, just to mention, I heard you saying Marrakesh, your hometown, just to pronounce it correctly the way I know it from my childhood, Marrakesh. That's okay?
Yes, it's
Thank
fine.
you. So, just two things I have in mind. My daughter, same age as yours, right? One of the things I noticed, take her to uh, sports and stuff like that. My father's brother, my uncle, being captain of subcontinent cricket team. All my childhood, I sat in a pavilion, not in the way you said, describe mediocrity or watching from a
Right.
different angle. I've been in that and sitting with the players, talking to them before they bat. I was looking at what bat you using granicles, you using willow dipped in oil for 72 hours before you start bat. I think that the two things I need your feedback on that. You're very well versed in sports, and we've been discussing so far the financial part of it, which sort of was a turn off for me in that way, based on my experience. I think that comes as a bonus. Money is always bonus in cricket. Uh, Forget about cricket, any sport. I think it's always the focus on the game and the passion and the niche market. I saw you mentioned two things. One thing, which is common in this case, I always believed hockey. I don't know, we didn't get any question on that. Undervalued all over the world so far. The most money making asset going forward in the next 20, 30 years. And well, IPL and all that in cricket is still into it. They discovered it and all that. But this is, like they say, there's always room at the top.
Mhm.
Somebody has to look at the room. Not everyone has the ability to look at that. So if you always see that room at the top and then undiscovered, I would say niche markets like hockey, but football, yes, and all that. But is that something you are looking at it going forward in the next decade or a couple of decades? Because that's, and again, money to my extent, I'm a businessman. I never looked at it, money as focus. It's always a bonus, it's always your passion that earns that bonus. Please advise me on that, all of us.
Sure. I think let's do the financial aspect first, and then we can talk about hockey. I think ultimately, when you buy a team, nobody buys a team hoping they're going to lose money. Right? People buy it hoping you're going to break even or you'll make money. I think what ends up happening when you own a team, you quickly realize that you actually don't own it, that it's a public trust, that it's an asset for the community, and that you have an obligation to sort of do the right thing. So I think you try to win, you try to do what's right. And ultimately, sooner or later, the financial part comes in, because for the Bucks, the last year for us, the team was going to lose 50 to 100 million because you were going to be in the luxury tax. So there's a cost to winning. And you sort of see it today with a number of teams like the Celtics, after they got bought and then Tatum got hurt. The Celtics were going to have about a $200 million luxury tax. And then once Jason Tatum got hurt, they traded a number of players so they wouldn't have that 200 million. So whether you like it or not, the financial aspect is real, because there is a cost. No matter how much money you have, nobody likes losing 200 or 300 million a year, or 100 million or 50 million, whatever the number is. So that's number one. Number two, regarding hockey, I think it is undervalued, right? But ultimately, you have to have more people watching it. I was in Montreal this morning, and so the Montreal Canadiens. Do you know how many people live in Canada? 40 million. You know how many people watch an average hockey game? Average hockey game in Canada,
4 million.
Yeah, it's 10% of the population. 10% are watching it. So Canadians are crazy. I mean, they love it. Okay, here we've got 1/4% are watching hockey. So you got a lot of room to grow, but you also have a lot of room in sort of all these other sports. So it's not just hockey, but hockey is actually doing really well. Like I think you could have bought a hockey team 5 years ago, 500 million, and today they're selling for $1.5 billion. So it's actually gone well. I know there's time for one or two more questions.
Yeah, I think so.
My
That was a lot of
question is a bit more personal.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There are not that many brother-sister duos in the world.
Yes.
You went into business with your sister. I'm wondering what the impetus for that was. If I may be so bold, I'm wondering if you're still close. And I'm wondering what became of your other sister and how that informed the raising of your kids, not just as your kids, but as siblings to each other. And then second question, I'm wondering what you're currently reading and what your favorite book is.
Oh, okay. Well, favorite book right now. I love reading the Walter Isaacson books. So, I keep reading those books. My wife has turned me on to Robert Perot, the books, the book on the Senate and things like that. She reads far, far more than I do, and I think she reads a book a week. And I'll ask her how it was. She'll explain it. And I'm like, wow, great, which means I read it. So it's all positive. But regarding my sister, I think, we grew up, I share a room with my two sisters growing up, and you either hate each other or you end up, I think, really becoming closer. We went to the same college, we went to different law schools. When we started Avenue, Sonia and I are very different. And there is this huge amount of trust, and I don't think I could do what I'm doing without her, and vice versa. So I think being partners with a sibling is great if you have a different skill set. And I think we both have a very different skill set. What she does, I'm not crazy about doing, and what I do, she's not crazy about doing. And if you sort of understand that about each other, you end up being phenomenal partners. And when we started Avenue, it's been a phenomenal partnership since we've gotten started. My younger sister ended up joining us years later, and so she works at the firm, but it's different. I think Sonia and I started the firm, and Ruth ended up joining us, let's say, 10 years after we started it. So we all went to law school. I like to say I did really well. My Sonia did better than I did, and my younger sister graduated number one. But I always remind her she works for me. So, but yes, it's. And I think for my kids, and my daughter's probably the best one to say it, is just, I think what we've tried to instill is family is really important. That you need to sort of trust your siblings. And I think, we had 5 children. I mean, we still have them, I guess. We had 5 children under 7. So my wife was a saint, and, it was pretty good, but it's hard. I mean, and I think the kids are very close, but I think part of that is just sort of the values that I think my wife and I have instilled on them.
How'd you meet your wife?
I met my wife, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I met my wife the first day of college.
Yes.
I was one of those I'm a junior, she was a freshman. And the juniors would help out the incoming freshmen. And I was doing that because I was hoping to meet somebody. And I met my wife, and we have the same birthday. So we're exactly 2 years apart. We started going out, and then when I was in law school, the day she graduated from college, I proposed, and then we got married 6 months later, and then I passed the bar, and we celebrated, and we had a kid right away. Just,
Wow.
we had a
Oh,
kid 9 months later. Because I went from making 20,000 to 30,000. So, yeah, it's been 41 years. So it's been great.
41 years. Wow, guys. All right. Let's wrap it up. Let's give Marc Lasry a nice round of applause, guys. Excellent, Marc. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent.